Glory. Glory.
He's a Hamilton, Ohio native, former two-time Big Ten standout and an NBA draft pick. Greg Stokes, welcome here to Lamps Lab. And again, like I just said, appreciate you being here.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been a while since I had some contact with Hamilton, so I'm hoping I'll be an interesting guest. So we'll just see how it goes. But thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you've been a lot of places, but yeah, I do want to start, at home. And what was it like growing up in Hamilton in the 70s?
Well, I was born in Connecticut actually, and my mom moved me to Hamilton when I was about three. Well, maybe not even that. Maybe like one. And so I grew up. I grew up in Hamilton, so I call Hamilton my home. I was raised by my grandparents, both deceased now, of course. But Hamilton has always been my home. Growing up, interesting story. I'm known for my basketball career, but growing up, I grew up on the east side of Hamilton, over there off of near East Avenue, over where the old Roosevelt Junior High used to be, about a block from there. And just growing up, my mom initially didn't let me play sports. So thank goodness for my uncle. He said, "Hey, let him try it." I probably was eighth grade or so, and I wasn't very good, of course, but I tried it. I fell in love with the game, and had to work hard for a couple of years there. And by the time I was a sophomore in high school, things started taking off for me. So ended up doing quite well in high school. Broke some records, some Hamilton records and things like that. Got earned a scholarship to the University of Iowa back in 1981, and so just kind of a storybook career, man. I did very well at Iowa. Again, broke some career records there. I had my number 41 retired. Got drafted by the Sixers. Had an opportunity to play a year with the great Charles Barkley, as you probably know.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yeah. We'll get there. And then I played a couple of years in the NBA with the Sixers and then the Sacramento Kings, and played overseas. Started having some knee issues and stuff. So after about 7 or 8 years of pro ball, kind of settled down. I didn't really retire, but my knees told me it was time. So I ended up settling back in Iowa, and just started my post basketball career in Iowa, I should say. And got 2 kids. I follow those guys around now, and so actually I'm in Las Vegas now as we speak. With my daughter Kia. So kind of a short synopsis of where I've been. I've done a lot of stuff in between there, but that's typically the path I've taken. So yeah, if you got any specific questions for me, fire them away.
Yeah, we'll back up just a touch. And how many siblings did you have growing up?
Yeah, so I have 2 siblings. I have both younger. My brother a couple of years younger. His name's Maurice Stokes, and then I have a younger sister, approximately 10 years younger. Her name's Deloria Stokes. She's in Columbus, and my younger brother, he's now in Ashland, Kentucky. So, yeah.
So you said you kind of started basketball in the 8th grade. Now, were you always taller, or did you kind of hit a growth spurt at some point?
I would say I was probably average growing up. And then, like I said, I started my career in the 8th grade. It wasn't very good. I never played. I was on the team, but I never played. Played for a guy. His name's Ray Mills. He was my very first basketball coach. But I probably hit my growth spurt a year later. I grew about 3.5 inches in the summer. And so, my skills eventually caught up to my height. And by the time I was a sophomore, I was putting things together. My coordination, and I'm not gonna lie, I worked hard, to try to get better at my craft. But then by the time I was a senior, man, I was doing my thing. So it was kind of fun at that point. And then kind of a quick story. I think it was my junior year. Ended up going to this basketball camp out in Pittsburgh. It's called 5 Star, and pretty expensive camp back then. I think it was about $500 to attend this basketball camp. And so, my grandparents raised me, of course, but we didn't have $500 to spend on a basketball camp. I mean, we had $500. It was going towards food and clothing and that kind of thing. But the camp director made a deal with him. He said, "Hey, I'll let you attend camp, but you have to work off your tuition." So when we had like 3 workouts a day, play games, and then at night I had to sweep the kitchen floor and wash dishes and mop the floor and do all that kind of stuff to kind of work off my tuition. And so while I was there, I did very well. We had a lot of big name guys. Patrick Ewing was there, and some of these old timers, Greg Dreiling. I can't remember the other guys, but it was a big time camp, and I did very well against those guys. Those guys, all Americans, of course. And so because I did so well, a lot of colleges saw me, and then that's kind of how my career took off. So yeah.
Yeah, was that Garfinkel, that deal with Garfinkel?
Yeah, Howard Garfinkel. Yeah.
I went to 5 Star too.
Oh, did you?
Up at Robert Morris, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was Howard Garfinkel. Great guy. He had tons of All-Americans come through there, so no big deal there. But yeah, he just said, "Come, would love to have you." I don't even know how he heard about me, but he said, "Love to have you come over." And one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah. So your sophomore and junior years, you were at Garfield, right, under Coach Don Gillespie. Nice. Rest in peace to Coach Gillespie. Great guy. I know him also. I saw you average about 13 points your junior year, and obviously going to your senior year, Taft and Hamilton, Garfield come together. Now, was there any thoughts from you and the other Garfield guys about coming together and the Taft coach being the coach on if they would get preferential treatment or anything like that?
Well, it was an unusual situation, of course. They turned Garfield, our high school at the time, into a junior high, and basically shut down one high school. And so we had to go to the old Taft building. They called the name Hamilton High. I guess many years before that, it was Hamilton High, and then they split it into two high schools. And now they consolidated it back to one. But I didn't really have any issues with the other coach. I figured my position was safe.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm 6'8", and fairly good player at that time. So I felt my position was pretty solid. But the other guys that were on the Hamilton Garfield side, I was kind of concerned about them, but we didn't really have a beat. We kind of knew those other guys too, because we play down at the BTW Community Center. We play against them and stuff like that. Arthur Green and James McCluskey and Dean Curtis, some of the other guys that were on my team there, they went to Taft, so we knew each other. So it wasn't that big a deal. And when we got together as a team, man, we had a lot of firepower. As you probably read in the old articles and things like that. So it was great, man. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my teammates. The coach, Marv McCollum, I mean, he was good dude. He had a lot of basketball knowledge. And so it was great, to be honest with you. We were very successful that year. We ended up getting beat. I think it was like the state semifinals or semifinals, I think. I can't remember exactly, but we were undefeated that year. We just had one loss, and that was the one that put us out of the state tournament. So, but yeah, no bad blood or anything like that. And so we just kind of gelled, coming from two high schools. So it was a great experience.
And yeah, your senior year, you averaged 24 points, almost 15 rebounds, and you had 148 blocks. Class AAA Player of the Year, Parade Magazine All-American. You guys had a dominant season, like you said, 25-1. It was the regional final, so the final 8 against Dayton Roth. What do you remember about that game? There's rumors you might have got fouled at the end of that game that wasn't called. Do you remember that?
I played in hundreds of games, hundreds. And that game, more than any other game that I've ever played, stays with me to this day. We're talking over 40 plus years ago. Yes, I got fouled. I remember the situation. I think we were up one, and our guy, Allen Washington, was at the free throw line shooting a 1-and-1. Probably, I think at the time it was maybe 10 seconds to go. And I'm like, we got this, and Allen missed the free throw. So they got the rebound, called timeout. So they're down one. This was before 3-pointers and things like that. So, we're ready. We come back out. They inbound the ball. Clock's ticking down. And one of the guys that shot, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I don't know if our guy fell down or whatever, but I go from underneath the basket, run out to contest the shot. And I can remember my fingertips just barely grazing the bottom of the ball. So I didn't get the block, and then next thing I know, swish, game's in. We call timeout. It's 2 seconds to go, something like that. I think everybody in the gym knew where the ball was going. So we put one of our reserve guys in, Earl Henry. He was a football guy. And I told him, I said, Earl, just get it down there. Just get it to me. And so I'm down at the other end. We had to throw it the full length of the court. And I even told the refs, I said, man, look at these. And before the play was even started, these guys were hanging on me. They were literally grabbing me and holding me. And I said, ref, look at this, I said, just look at this. I said, if they foul me, you got to call it. Yeah. So Earl throws the ball full length of the court, and I kind of get tipped. It gets deflected. Once it's touched, the clock start. I kind of scramble around the free throw area line, turn, shoot, got hit on the wrist. The ball rolls around the rim. Clock horn goes off, and then it rolls out. Literally, the ref runs up to me and he's literally pointing. I don't know if you can see me pointing like he was going to call a foul. And then their fans, their crowd jumped onto the court, started screaming and storming the court. And then the ref just swallowed the whistle and just took off. I was like, what's going on? You didn't call a foul, Yeah. And game over, And like I said, that was a tough loss, man. I felt pretty confident I would have made the free throws, but hey, guess it wasn't meant to be. I just remember, I played my heart out, man, and that one hurt. Man, it hurt. And so I just remember sitting on the bench after the game, man, tears are flowing. They're coming up congratulating me and all that, but it didn't really matter because it hurt so much. Now that loss, and like I said, to this day, that's the one that if I could take any of the losses back, that would be the one. And interesting story, I think his name was Carl Golston, made that shot. And just coincidentally, I signed my scholarship to go to Iowa the next year, and he ended up signing his scholarship to go to University of Hawaii. And it just so happened that Iowa was playing Hawaii in Iowa the next year. And so I remember we were warming up, and I told him, I said, hey, I guarantee you're not going to win this game. And he said, it doesn't really matter because I think they went on and won the state championship or whatever. But we ended up killing them at Iowa versus Hawaii, but it didn't, there wasn't it didn't feel good because I still had that loss. I still remember that. But yeah, of all the games I've ever played, that game sticks out to me more than any other. So, just kind of one of those deals wasn't meant to be. And, I've gone on and done some great things as a result.
Yes, sir.
But I do remember that one vividly.
Yeah, it's something about the community, high school guys you grew up with. Those games, they just stay with you, when you come up short.
Very true.
Yes. So, like you said, and you played with some great players, as you mentioned, a lot of Hamilton Hall of Famers. As you mentioned, the point guard Dean Curtis, may he rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Arthur Washington, James the Top Cat, James McCluskey, Rusty Hargraves, Mike Mason, all those guys. But yeah, you guys definitely one of the better teams that ever came through Hamilton for sure.
Yeah, I followed the Big Blue, Big Blue for a while there, and I think a few years later, they ended up closing the deal. They won a state championship, so I was definitely happy for them. I don't know how that felt, but I was very, very happy for that particular team. So,
well, I'll tell you,
yeah, lots of good memories.
It felt good, but we'll get to that also. So you end up going to University of Iowa, like you said, playing for Lute Olson first. And did you have what were your other options? Was it always Iowa, or did it come down to some other schools, or what?
Well, great story, great question. I grew up in Hamilton, man, and Big Ten was kind of the thing, and around Hamilton, of course, it was Indiana, University of Indiana with Bobby Knight, and Ohio State, with Eldon Miller was the coach at that time. And I remember before I went to that 5-star camp, my career was just kind of getting going, but nobody really kind of knew about me. They kind of knew I was kind of up and coming. And I remember calling Ohio State, the basketball office, and I was like, "Hey, you got, I don't know if this is even kosher or proper, but you got any interest in me? Because if I could just stay close to home, I was very close to my grandmother, and I kind of wanted to stay close to home for her sake. And they told me, yeah, we've heard about you, Greg, but we're really trying to get this kid out of Cleveland. His name's Brad Sellers." All right. So Brad, I think he was Class A Player of the Year that year. I was AAA Player of the Year, but and I didn't know who Brad was. And so they basically said, we'll kind of keep an eye on you. And so I ended up going to that 5-star camp. Man, I was killing it. I'm just being honest with you. And so here come all the colleges now. Indiana, Iowa, all the Big Ten schools, except for Ohio State. And long story short, Brad Sellers ended up going to Wisconsin. And so, I guess they recruited him hard, and he ended up choosing Wisconsin. And then, by then, all the Big Ten schools had been in. I probably had 60 scholarship offers, and I talked it over with my grandmother, and she said, you go where you feel the best, where, what feels good to you. I didn't know anything about Iowa Hawkeyes. I kind of did some research, and I understand that they went to the Final Four a couple of years before I got there with Lute Olson. So, I took a visit out there, and the football team, I remember this quick story. I went out to visit, and the football team was pretty bad, to be honest with you. And so I remember at the football game, they were marching down the field, time's running out, and they were losing like 35-0. And then as time is running out, they kick a field goal. All right. So they lose like 35-3. But when they kick that field goal, man, just the crowd just went nuts. They were screaming and hollering. And then I was like, they still lost, I'm kind of trying to figure this. I'm like, what's the excitement about, And I was like, man, what would happen if they ever won a game, And so just the fan support, I'm like, this is amazing. And, it just felt good. I'm like, so I came back home. I talked to my grandma, and I said, I think I want to go to Iowa. I said, it's about 8 hours away, and she was like, you go where you will go where you go. I'm going to be all right. We were real tight, and so I chose Iowa. And so, right before I made that decision, then here come Ohio State. Hey, Greg, you want to come on up? And we'd love to have you. I'm like, I'm done, man. I'm gone. I'm out of here. So kind of too little, too late kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Bobby Knight, pretty much all the Big Ten schools, pitched their pitch except for Ohio State. And so I just loved Iowa, man. And I thought I made the right decision. Like I said, had a really good career there, number jerseys retired and all that kind of stuff. So it was great, man. Loved even today, I live in Iowa, and I'm walking around town and people are like, "Hey, Stokes, man, I remember you," and all that. So it makes you feel good that they remember the old man. But yes, definitely some great memories from there.
So yeah, 2 years under Lute Olson and two with the great George
George
Raveling,
Raveling, that's right.
also. And like you said, you when you graduated, you were actually first on the scoring list and the blocks list. I think
Mhm.
you're currently sixth in scoring still to this day, and ninth in rebound, and second in blocks. So those records still, holding up.
Yeah, I still got, I think I got one record down there yet. I know I probably had, when I left, I probably had maybe 12 or 13 of them, but one still remains, and I think that's like 11 for 11 for a game,
Mm.
field goal percentage for a game or something like that. I'm sure that's going to be broke at some point in time. But yeah, man, just the fans, man, just even like I said, now it's just awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. The people are so nice and friendly, and it's like I said, I live there now, so it's home now. I lived there longer than I lived in Hamilton, so I call Iowa home, but I haven't forgot my Hamilton roots by any means. So.
And so you were second round pick, 33rd overall. And what I found very interesting was your rookie season with the Sixers. I mean, you're playing with Bob McAdoo, Mo Cheeks, Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, and Dr. J, all on the
It,
same team.
it was like a kid in a candy store, man. It really was, I remember, like, and I don't know if you want to get into these stories and stuff, but I got a couple of stories I just want like to share with you. So I got drafted second round. If you're first round, you're pretty much guaranteed to be on the team as a first round. So I was second round, so I got to come to camp. I got to make the team. I think they had 3 spots open, and Terry Catledge was the first round draft choice. I don't remember what number he was, but that spot was pretty much locked up. And then they had 2 more spots. And so as we're going through, the camp, there's probably 40 people, for 2 spots. And another guy ends up getting one of the spots. So there's like 1 spot left for like 30 guys. And, I had a great camp. And, as we go on along through the camp, guys are getting sent home as we go. So it gets down to 2 guys, me and this other guy his name was Boise Winters. I think he was played for Bradley, good scorer. He's like a small forward. So it came down between me and him, and he had a good camp as well. And so I remember the general manager comes up, and we're nervous because the following day we had to have the roster in place, had to be finalized. And he comes up and he's knocking on my hotel room door. I knew he was coming, and he comes in and he says, "Greg, I want to talk to you." And I'm nervous as all get out. And he's like, "Man, first of all, let me tell you, it was a pleasure having you in camp. Man, I wish some of our veterans, worked hard like you." He says, I just wanted to let you know. I'm like, dude, just get it over with, man. Quit hee-hawing and stalling and stuff. So I'm waiting for the bad news, right?
Yeah.
And he says, I guess gotta come on and tell you it's going to be a pleasure to have you on the team. So I was like, I'm getting ready for the bad news, and I'm like, what'd you say? He says, you're on a team, man. He says, welcome to the Philadelphia 76ers, man.
Wow.
I was just like, oh my gosh, just the best news you could ever imagine. So he says, I got to go tell Boise the bad news, and stuff. And so, man, that was awesome. So now I'm on the team. Like I said, I got these guys as my teammates, and first seat, I was on a bench, for a while. And then and eventually Moses Malone got hurt. He had this eye injury and stuff, and so I got thrust into the starting lineup, man, and it was fantastic. Got to play against the greats, Larry Bird and of course Jordan and Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Dominique Wilkins. I mean, it was fantastic, man. And on top of this, I'm getting paid to do this, and so it was just literally a dream come true. Never in a million years would I ever dreamt of being in the NBA. It was literally the best experience I'd ever had.
Yeah, the 80s, kind of that the height of NBA basketball when it was really taking off, and some of those names you mentioned are, some of the greats to ever play. And I saw a clip of you actually blocking a fadeaway of a Bird. Kind of Bird tried to, fade on you, and you got him. You still got him. So
yeah, man, it was I got to give credit where credit is due. Larry Bird, a lot of people hate him. But I got mad respect for him. He's one of the best players I've ever played against, without a doubt. But he's also one of the worst trash talkers
yeah.
that you can play. I mean, he was talking the whole game. You can't guard me, Rook. Get off me, rookie. Just whack. And finally he goes up lazily, and I throw it in the stands, and he's like, you got me. He still ended up with about 35, though.
Yeah.
But I had my one little moment in time, so I'll definitely take that. But yeah, great player. Nothing but respect for him. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats. A lot of people hate him. He can't jump. He's not really fast, but he's just skilled, just a skilled player. And so I really respect that out of him.
And you just missed playing against another Hamilton native, and Kevin Greavy. It looked like he retired the year before you came in. And I was curious, did you guys have a relationship, or did you ever talk to him, know him much?
Yeah, I talked to him. If I'm not mistaken, like I said, we talked a while back. I think Kevin ended up going to Kentucky, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Yeah. And so I think, Kentucky was interested in me, but at the time they had two big All-Americans. I think Mel Turpin and Sam Bowie. And so I just playing time and numbers, I just like, that's probably not. I'm probably not going to play a lot if I go there. But yeah, I talked a little bit with Kevin. Kevin Greavy, he's All-American. Everybody knew Kevin from Hamilton, so I had that relationship with him. We had that in common. But it just seemed again like Iowa was the place for me. They had a couple big guys that were leaving, and so I could come in. It was pretty much wide open in terms of position. So that was one of the other reasons why I ended up choosing Iowa. So yeah.
And as you mentioned, you had stops in Italy, Spain, Australia. Touched with the Sacramento Kings there before the kind of health problems and stuff got to you. So about 92 is when you stopped. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I said, my knees, that I'm dealing with them now, as a matter of fact. But yeah, your body, like I said, I wanted to play. I love to play longer, but your body kind of tells you, it's just kind of what it is. But man, I've had some great memories. Got to see the world as a result of basketball, like you mentioned, Spain and Italy, Australia. Just great places. And so basketball is literally taking me around the world. And so it's just been a blessing. And so I feel very blessed and fortunate to have done what I've done. And, I can't say enough about basketball and what it's meant to my life.
Yeah. And in 92, you also had your son, Darius. And I saw he followed your footsteps playing at Iowa. And another connection that I realized between, I guess it's us and him, he's currently an assistant under my former coach, Billy Taylor, at Ball
State. Is that right?
Yeah, at Ball State University.
Okay.
So yeah, and I just realized that doing my research, and I thought that was a cool little random.
Yeah, when he was at Iowa, Billy was at Iowa.
Yes, sir.
And so and my son Darius, he's loving it, man. He's kind of I think it's probably maybe his fifth or sixth year overall as assistant coach, but he loves Elon and loves Billy, man. Billy's been great for him. And so he's following his dream. He's following his dream. He loves it. And small world, when you say you know Billy, yeah. So that's awesome.
And your daughter Kia, she's a McDonald's All-American. Played for Gino Auriemma at UConn, a 3-time national champion, and now most recently a 3-time world champion in the WNBA. How's it been kind of just seeing your kids be successful, but also seeing them be successful with basketball, something that brought you so much success?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome, man. Obviously, I'm proud of both of them. I mean, it's, all you want is for your kids to be happy and healthy and do the things that they want to do. And so both of them are kind of following their dream. Like I said, I'm out actually in Vegas now. As you mentioned, my daughter Kia, they just won, the Aces just won their third WNBA championship. And so, this is her 10th year or so, in the league, where I got like maybe a year and a half. She's got 10 years in already and three championships, so it's been awesome, man. Obviously, I'm proud of them both. And, I can't say enough. I'd like to think I had a little bit to do with their upbringing and that kind of stuff. But man, they're doing their own thing, and I can't be happier for both of them.
And now, currently, you academic advisor out at Kirkwood Community College, and what's kind of the satisfaction of helping college students navigate through their academics as they're pursuing their goals.
Yeah. So like you said, academic advisor, and so what happens? I'm at a community college, so students come to the community college, save a little bit of money for 2 years or so, and then they transfer on to the 4-year schools. So just working with students on a day-to-day basis, man, it's been great. I love what I do. And then just the satisfaction of when they transfer on and then they graduate, with their degree in whatever it is, psychology or sociology, education, whatever the case may be. And they come back to you and they thank you, man. It just means a lot to me to know that you've had some kind of impact, on their academic career. So yeah, I've been at Kirkwood now, it's going on 27 years. I never thought that I'd be doing that, but time goes by fast, and so it's just been awesome. I really love where I work. Got great co-workers and stuff. So yeah, it's been a great fit for me.
Yeah, and before we go, I just want to say, in Hamilton, I know you mentioned you haven't been connected to Hamilton that close in a while, but your name is still talked about all the time there in the circles of basketball, or somebody has a story of something you did or your team you was on, and all the players that kind of being that first year of consolidating back, all those great players, you kind of followed in your footsteps, so to speak, when you talk about the Tyrese Walkers,
Yeah.
and the Chris Kingsbury's, another Iowa guy.
Yeah.
And then when our team came along in 2004, we didn't have a player like of you guys' ilk. We just had a lot of good players, wanted to play defense, share the ball, and we were able to get the championship a different way, kind of from the traditional, star player, I guess you could say. And I know you follow the Hamilton a lot. So what do you I guess hope for Hamilton athletics and basketball as they continue to move forward these
Yeah,
years?
like I said, I'm always going to be Hamiltonian, and I haven't followed the basketball program in recent years, but I hope they're doing okay. Like I said, I don't know, but yeah, I'm always going to have that pride, and again, of all the games that I played, man, that one that we lost, it kind of stings, but I'll never forget it. And so again, like when you guys ended up doing it, man, I couldn't be more proud. I could be more proud of you guys. So kudos to you guys for taking care of business when you needed to. But I hope there's more to come from Hamilton. I think the baseball team has had some good runs, and I think the football team as well. So maybe Hamilton is back. I don't know. At least I like to think that they are. So to all the Hamilton teams, good luck and keep representing. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, man. Thanks again, for coming on and, just sharing your story a little bit. Because, the people, they want to hear from you. I know, I'm telling you, they want to hear from you. And all the guys that are have played and have left their mark, we love to hear from them. But I appreciate you, man. Hope everything keeps going well out there in Iowa. And hopefully, I can catch up with you sometime in the future.
Absolutely, man. So I got your number now. So, and if you ever want to reach out, by all means, please do so. I've enjoyed being on your show. So if there's ever anything I can do, if you need some updates or anything like that, what's going on in my life, by all means, please look me up. Okay, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Same here. I appreciate you.
All right, you have a good day, sir.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye.